Alrighty, guys. Well, let's get to Matt and Drew with Midas Gold Group. Good to see you guys. I'm going to pull you guys in right here. These dudes are based, and I always tell the viewers, you guys are not only sponsors of the show, but you guys are super based, and this is why I love bringing you guys on. So good to see both of you.
You too, Drew. Good to be back. I'm here with my other boy, Drew. Say what's going on.
Hey, Drew. Thanks for having us on. Really appreciate the time.
Dude, no worries. No worries. Just real quick, if you guys are just jumping in, like I said, Midas Gold Group is based, and aside from the business aspect of things, which is important, and I'm glad that you guys go and support them. If you're a viewer of mine and you're not supporting them, then you're, I don't know what you're doing. But like I always tell you guys, they're based. So I wanted to get their take on the situation with Trump that we are seeing developing even further in Georgia. So so Trump posted this a couple hours ago, guys, and I wanted to get your reaction to what he is saying. Can you believe it? I'll be going to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday to be arrested by a radical left district attorney, Fannie Willis, who is overseeing one of the greatest murder and violent crime disasters in American history. I love how he just takes a jab at her in the process. In my case, the trip to Atlanta is not for murder, but for making a perfect phone call. She campaigned and is continuing to campaign and raise money on this witch hunt. This is in strict coordination with crooked Joe Biden's DOJ. It is all about election interference. What's your guys' reaction to this? And what's your take on the indictment, the fourth indictment and coming arraignment on Thursday of Donald J. Trump?
Well, I would start out by saying I think it's interesting that every time information comes out about Joe Biden, they just so happen to indict Trump once again, right? Seems like a control of the media cycle. I would actually refer your viewers to the interview with Jan Halper Hayes. Are you familiar with that, Drew?
No.
Did you see that the other day?
I haven't seen it.
So Jan Halper Hayes came out, and she's on mainstream media. She's on some British, talk show. Who cares? And she comes out and says, they're questioning her about the election and what all these crimes that Trump supposedly committed. And she comes out and specifically says, Space Force has been tracking the election fraud the entire time. Checkmate. So keep indicting Trump, because all it's going to do is it's going to allow him to enter this evidence very easily into the court records, and it's going to be coming from literally the highest level of government. Jan Halper Hayes spent, I think, something like 30 years in the Department of Defense. And in my view, I think she's an operative of Space Force. But she specifically says Space Force has the data. It's checkmate. They started this not in 2020, but in 2018. I think there's a lot of rigging of elections for years before this. But I would refer people to what Jan Halper Hayes said in that interview about 2 weeks ago, pointing out just the specific fact that Space Force, they have it all. Checkmate.
Drew, what's your take?
Fourth indictment, one more for a bingo. Realistically, I think it's always a projection on their end. It's, hey, take away from really what they're trying to do and then, push it on Trump. And then on top of that, really, I think the big thing is they have the mainstream media behind them who's going to push their narrative, and they're going to block out real news. And I think the big problem that we have is we have people that, maybe they don't have the way to, they're listening to mainstream media. That's all they're hearing about, right? And so over time, just getting berated with this news, they believe it's true. Realistically, they're bending the laws. Like racketeering, that was back for the mafia, whatever, in the 30s, 40s, right? The idea that we're going to somehow bend this for current day is kind of crazy. So, I just think it's really a distraction from everything else they're pushing, like you talk about, like the death jab, the next round of mask mandates, stay at home, don't go anywhere, CBDCs, let's make sure you can't spend your money within a 15-mile radius of where you live. And all the above, really. It's just they push this out, and it's just a distraction from what's happening every single day.
Absolutely. And part of the political crucifixion of Donald J. Trump. And we've been seeing this narrative for the past few years. And I think people are catching on as to why. It wasn't just because they're a bunch of hypocrites and they're just liars and slanderers. It's like CIA psyops, call someone a conspiracy theorist, discredit them and everything that they're saying, make them look like the town psychopath and no one should listen to them. They've been calling you a mega terrorist. They've been calling you a domestic right-wing terrorist. They've been saying that you're a threat to democracy. So here we are, post J6, where everyone that is claiming to be MAGA with a red MAGA hat on is declared a right-wing extremist terrorist. And here they are like you just said, they're using the RICO. They're using RICO as if, I was making this point on the show the other day. Like, yeah, Trump between, the end of the election in 2020 in November to January 6th, Trump had the time to establish a criminal enterprise, totally organized crime like a mafia, so he could just steal the election in Georgia because using RICO. Like they have to this is like decades, including like undercover work to prove that there's organized crime in like mafia families, like you say, cartels. They go after the entire branch so they can take down the ultimate head mafia, whatever. And I thought it was based. The other day on my other show, I was like, oh, hashtag mega mafia, whatever. Let's just wear it, let's wear it. But, to speak to that, you guys, how like this propaganda and this slander that they roll on mega or whoever comes out and supports Trump, what has your guys' experience been these past few years? Have you guys experienced this in your business of being slandered and attempted cancellation? Obviously, you guys support patriots like myself. You guys support Donald J. Trump. As a business, how's your experience been, especially now with these witch hunt indictments that everyone is seeing?
I mean, let's set the record straight. I mean, whatever the Democrat accuses you of is a direct admission of their own guilt.
True, so true.
And that's my own quote, right? I think what winds up happening with, let's say, somebody in the gold business like us is, I find it's a lot of the conservative-minded people that understand something's systemically wrong in the economy, something's wrong with banks failing, right? We've seen a string of banks going under this year, and they're slow walking it, right? They're slow walking the banking collapse, if you haven't noticed already. So the liberals think everything's A-okay. They think, right, the financial system's great. They don't understand what's right around the corner waiting for them with a central bank digital currency. It's a digital prison is what it is. So for us, we love, the people that call in. It's mostly a conservative. It's probably 100% conservative, would you say?
Specifically to how we advertise too. And I think the big thing is, we have individual conversations with our clients, and that's when, they get to open up. And what we get to realize is, wow, there's actually a lot of them out there. And, when you talk about the silent majority, it's actually quite a bit of people. But
we see it.
To your point is, when you're berating and saying, oh, MAGA's bad, these guys are, racist, blah, 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 and you just say it over and over and over again, it's a scare tactic that they're using to keep people silent, right? And not to, say what they think and fight back, right? And then you have the mainstream media who does the exact same thing over and over and over. And it's like a brainwashing thing for the general public, I think.
Brainwashing through repetition.
Absolutely. And that's how the propaganda works. You just say it over and over and over and over, and people get afraid, they get scared. But I don't think that's working anymore. It's not working because people are realizing that their freedom is on the line, especially when it hits their bank account. That's when people really start to wake up. But take a look at some of these headlines. This is a Gateway Pundit. But we know that within, they want these kind of optics to make it look like there is a terror threat. Georgia jail installs barricades as Trump legal team arrives. Just the legal team. Okay, the legal team arrives at Fulton County Courthouse to negotiate terms of bond package. Bond set at $200K. Fulton County Sheriff deputies installed barriers at the jail where Trump has to turn himself in this week, which will happen on Thursday, according to Trump's Truth Social account. Marxist Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis hit President Trump and 18 others with RICO and conspiracy charges for daring to challenge the 2020 election. Fulton County grand jury last Monday returned a 41-count indictment, which included RICO and conspiracy charges against Trump. Fani Willis gave Trump and other defendants until Friday to voluntarily surrender. And obviously, we reported tonight that Trump is going in on Thursday. Trump's legal team arrived at the Fulton County Courthouse on Monday to negotiate the terms of the former president's bond and release. The judge ordered Trump's bond package to be set at $200K. So, guys, I want your take on this. Do you guys think that this is optics to make Trump look even further like a villain? Even his lawyers warrant barricades because there's a terror threat because of the lawyers?
It's all theater.
It's optics. Yeah, it's theater. It's political theater. What we know is that obviously these guys, like I said, they're guilty of what they're accusing him of. So they're going to have to continue to create this narrative. They're going to have to continue to do this in the media. Just wait till the evidence comes out from a place like Space Force. Wait till the tangible evidence, the indisputable evidence that Trump truthed about the other day. You saw that, I assume.
Yep.
He's got the indisputable evidence. So let them bring him to court. Right? Because the best quote is from Dr. Jerome Corsi is, He once said back in 2016 is right before Donald Trump looks like he's about to lose is right before he wins.
And I think another layer is, they put those barricades up, and really it's if you're supporting the president, they want to make you look like you're, doing something wrong or could be doing something wrong, right? So I think it's not even for Trump. I think it's anybody who would go to support. They're like, hey, we got to put these barriers up because, we don't want another J6 happening here in Georgia. And it's trying to automatically make anybody coming to support, in a negative light.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of legal theories out there right now. I want to show you guys where a lot of constitutional scholars are saying this could end up in the Supreme Court, and that might be the best legal path for the Trump team, because obviously that will die in the Supreme Court because it'll become a free speech issue, which that might actually be the path to go, which I think would be a good strategy. Is this legal theory Trump's best chance to beat the prosecutors? The National Constitutional Law Union, or NCLU, has published a legal theory that questions whether many of the charges against President Trump, particularly those related to his claims about the 2020 election, are now moot because he was not impeached and convicted by the U.S. Senate. Given that he was impeached twice and not convicted in either case, this is something that could actually help consolidate and eliminate some of the bogus charges Trump now faces. Published August 14th, entitled Strategy Memorandum Against the Trump Indictments, the report by Todd J. Aldinger asks the question, could George Washington have been prosecuted if he took similar actions if the relevant statutes existed while he was president? If the answer is no, then it is equally improper to prosecute Mr. Trump under these indictments, given that Bruin and Dobbs mandate that all constitutional provisions be applied in accordance with their fixed meaning in 1787, 1789. He says that the Supreme Court's recent Dobbs and Bruin decisions allow for Trump and his lawyers to argue that all actions a president takes while in office must be considered legal unless the chief executive is successfully impeached and removed. What's your guys' take on that? So what he's basically saying is, well, the impeachments should have been successful and he should have been removed from office if you're going to stick these kinds of charges, because if that's what he did, then that's what should have happened. This is one legal theory if it went to the Supreme Court.
Well, my legalese is certainly limited, but certainly I'd love to see it go into the Supreme Court. And I think we're going to see some other very interesting cases in the Supreme Court. I would encourage your viewers to look into the Brunson brothers. Have you heard of the Brunson brothers,
Yep.
Drew? They are essentially challenging, if they win their Supreme Court case, first it's got to make the docket, et cetera, et cetera. But if they win their court case, effectively you could you could remove 90% of Congress, 95% of Congress. I think that there's going to be very different Supreme Court cases that are going to move and shift the political winds here. I wouldn't put too much. I wouldn't be too much worried about what's going on with Trump indictments. Like I said, let them bring on the indictments. Space Force has all the data. We learned that with the Jen Halper Hayes interview. I think it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Quite frankly, I think people should read Art of the Deal. What Trump does is he's going to take the move that you use against him, and he's going to bury you with that same move.
Let me ask you this, Drew. Let me ask you this. So these people are rigging elections, and these people do not play by the rules, and everything they do is not according to the law, regardless of evidence, regardless of videotape, regardless of, you could see for yourself that what they're doing is wrong and lying. I mean, for instance, look at the Hunter Biden laptop. Guy gets a sweetheart plea deal, scot-free. You even have former Biden crime family affiliates. Devin Archer comes and testifies and says, yep, the big guy knew about all of this. And it seems like nothing is really happening. My question for you is, what happens if everything, all kinds of evidence, it exonerates Trump, but these people still say guilty regardless of the evidence? What do you think MAGA does? And what do you think happens to America if they go and take it that far, which I think they will?
I 100% agree. And unfortunately, that's probably what will happen. And I think Trump from the beginning has said, it's got to be a peaceful transition. We're not trying to civil war, do all that, even though if the left loses, that's really what they're trying to get us to do, right? Because they're not giving anything up. So I think going to the Supreme Court, if that ends up happening, I think will benefit Trump. And I hope realistically it does go that far. And I also think, with the way they've indicted him, It also allows him to be able to show a lot of evidence from like previous, election interference, fraud, whatever you want to call it, that maybe for whatever reason couldn't make it to court. So now he gets to plead his case and really get to fight a lot of battles kind of, in just a couple court cases. So I think they made a mistake by opening it up, charging him criminally, because now he has due process to be able to bring this evidence to light, right?
Wow.
Because he brought 60 cases to court. 57 of them didn't have the merit to actually make it to court. He had 3 cases. He won 2, only lost 1. But when you talk and listen to the media, they say he lost all these court cases fighting election interference. No, he won 2 of them, lost 1, 57 never made it to court. So I think the way they indicted him allows him due process to be able to bring this evidence up. I think it will eventually make it to Supreme Court. What I don't know is how it'll end, because I just don't think the other side is ever going to give up anything peacefully. Yeah. And I think his goal is, how can we expose them so much that it's so obvious to everybody else that they have to understand, like, okay, wow, they are in the wrong. So I think allowing this to happen now just is kind of like the kid with his hand in the cookie jar and getting caught, right? Expose them, let them do all this. And when the time's right, shed a little light on it. And ideally we wake up a majority of this country where we can be able to, move on and peacefully. And that's, I think, the number one thing.
I totally agree. And the big thing for me that I'm kind of watching unfold, and I think you're right. I think that's a really good point. They're giving him a platform again because they're so stupid and retarded. Like, they just think it's going to make him look bad. But if he's not gagged like they did Alex Jones, where you can't even put up a defense, you can't even say this, you can't even say that, it's just kangaroo court rigged. They did the same thing to Roger Stone. They did the same thing to both of those guys. If he can actually present this stuff, I think you're right. People are going to get red pilled. They're just going to be like, wait. Why is this guy being politically crucified? That happened? They might not even be politically invested, and they just kind of wake up to the reality because retard CNN comes in and is trying to make everyone look bad, when in reality, they're just showing the whole world just exactly what happened. But I wanted to get you guys' reaction to this. Speaking of Cuck NN, CNN admits Trump can win the general election in 2024. I'm actually shocked that they're airing clips like this. But here they are. It seems like they cannot hide this any longer. Take a look, guys.
Trump's lead is even larger. So these are 3 polls that were out over the last week. Look at these leads for Donald Trump. He's at 62% in the CBS News YouGov poll, 57% in Quinnipiac University, 53% in the Fox News poll. Look at where DeSantis is in all these polls. Look how far back he is. He doesn't crack 20% in any of them. So in Iowa, you have that 20-plus point lead for Donald Trump. That's actually smaller than the lead we see nationally, where we see these leads of 35, 40, near 50 points in this particular case. Of course, the primary is one thing. If Trump wins the primary, can he go on and win the general election? And we've had 3 polls that have come out over the last week here. And I want you to take a look at how close this race is at this particular point. Granted, the general election is over a year away. The largest lead for Joe Biden is just 3 points within the margin of error. No clear leader. Look at these. 1 point, 1 point. If you go back at where we were at this point 4 years ago, Joe Biden's lead was high single digits to low double digits. This is significantly closer than where we were 4 years ago. So this idea that Donald Trump can't win the general election, I want you to lose that idea. This race is very, very close. And Donald Trump is polling better right now than basically at any point during the entire 2020 cycle.
After 4 indictments.
After 4 indictments. It just doesn't really seem to matter.
That's fair.
I don't know. It's just, real quick, I got 2 reactions here. Number one, is this a psyop to like get your hopes up because they know the election's going to get rigged anyways? Or is CNN actually admitting what we all know is true, that if it is a free and fair election, Donald J. Trump is going to destroy a vegetable, a mindless vegetable, and a woke diversity hire that's apparently VP that's been installed? What's your guys' reaction to that?
I think when they show that first poll, it's really it's a message to their side of saying, hey, this could be real. We got to step it up, right? If CNN's actually going to come out and show that kind of the first poll, be like, Trump has a chance, look how far ahead he is. That's really them signaling to the left, like, we need to step it up, right? Which is where we're going to catch them in the mistakes. The second poll I laugh at because I think the first poll is probably real, but the fact that Joe Biden and Trump are even neck to neck, like, I think is a joke. The only way he's going to be able to win is to rig the election. I mean, the majority of his own party doesn't even want him to run. You know what anyways.
True.
Yeah, I don't even think there's going to be an election in 2024. That's my professional opinion. I just don't see it happening. I think that there's so much criminality that these people are involved in, from Alvin Bragg to this Fannie Willis lady. You name it. I mean, we could get into the criminality. I'm sure you're well aware of what they're really doing behind the scenes. But I don't see any 2024 election happening. And certainly the RNC is not going to allow Trump to run. I think if there's any shot at this, I think Trump needs to create the third party, which is the America First Party. He needs to run on that platform and bring Democrats, Republicans together, join the same team, and hopefully the people on the Democrat side and Republican side will see exactly what's going on, join forces, right? Maybe slowly but surely, right? As the more we see indictments in the news, right, just as we were talking about, the more ridiculous it gets. Hopefully we can bring more and more people together and really on the same team, because I think it's as a team that we really defeat these people.
Yeah, I think people are waking up. I think, well, if you watch me, like, I just think this whole Republican Democrat psyop, dude, the
uniparty.
It's all uniparty, man. GOP, DNC, all this crap. It's either America first or not, or it's just good versus evil. It's Satan versus God. And I think, at least for me, growing up, young millennial, that's how I always viewed things, even before I became a Christian. And now I'm just like, oh, now it's like even worse. But I think people are starting. I mean, just look at Maui, all these people that went for Biden, and like they're totally deserted by the so-called party that, they thought supported
That's the next
them.
World Trade Center event, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's
the next World Trade Center
event. It's all
event.
controlled demolition, Katrina, you name it.
Yep.
But that's what these people do.
Get that land for pennies on the dollar, right? And then we'll give you a $700 paycheck, and we'll send another $100 billion to Ukraine.
Yep.
Thanks for stopping.
Yep, because that's how much Biden loves you, right? He just loves you so much. But I wanted to get your guys' take on what Trump is doing with the debates this week. President Trump announces he will not participate in primary debates. So apparently he's going with a pre-recorded Tucker Carlson interview, which will be huge, which is interesting, which I think is a massive troll, because will that be 100%. Trump's return to Twitter? Will that be his return to Twitter? What do you guys think? Do you think he should be debating in the primary, or is he just so... He's just going to dominate no matter what? Does it even matter? I personally don't think it matters. He's going to dominate no matter what. None of these guys can come in even close. Maybe Vivek could be VP. I don't know. I think DeSantis kind of destroyed his political career by going against the man that literally made his political career. I didn't know who DeSantis was before Trump started saying his name. What do you guys think?
Well, DeSantis almost lost to, a guy who got caught, in a, hotel room with another naked man, So, yeah, he should be thanking Trump 100%. Listen, I think he's doing it right by not doing the debates. If anything, he should be watching who he might pick for VP, like you said. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I'd rather, my only critique would be is like, do the Tucker Carlson, interview live instead of pre-recorded.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. Why art of war? Why interrupt the enemy while they're making mistakes? Let them go and have their debate. Let them do it. Let Trump get all the ratings. It's going to show in the end in the ratings section. And that's what Trump touts. He's going to show the ratings. It's going to be a joke, and the joke's on them.
But to answer your question, Drew, is this his return back to Twitter? I don't know. I mean, just really curious with like Truth Social, like, has that time already passed where he can return back to Twitter, or is he kind of tied in with that specifically?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if his contract, I'm pretty sure he was on some kind of exclusive contract. I didn't know if it ended this year or next year. But I am interested to see where Trump does go with his Twitter account. I think it would be beneficial for him because it's massive. And right now it appears Elon is open to him. He brought him back. I mean, I don't particularly trust Elon Musk, but I think if Trump really did want to get a huge message out, now would be the time. I mean, I'm not inside of the campaign. True. I'm not advising anything, but do you guys think that if Trump started tweeting and really amplifying his message now, that would be a good thing? Or do you think he should wait? Or do you think that Trump is not playing a smart move by not tweeting? I mean, it seems like now would be the opportune time. Twitter's a little more open than it used to be. For how long? I don't know. But what do you guys think? Do you think he should start tweeting again?
I have a special place in my heart for Trump's tweets. I think he should get back on Twitter as soon as possible. We miss you, Donald.
Yeah, I would say too, but he's in a unique position where his message still gets out, right? If he does something on Truth Social, we'll see it on Breitbart or Gateway or, whatever. Don Jr. can tweet for him, the, desk of the president, he can still get his message out. So I just don't know when he wants to give in to the whole Twitter thing. Personally, I'd love it. Yeah, absolutely. Come out, because I do think it reaches, an audience that isn't on Truth or doesn't, watch the same news as maybe we do or pay attention at all. So, I think it'd be a net positive, but I'm not sure he's ready to commit yet.
Totally agree. I'll tell you what, I miss getting retweeted by Trump. I'll tell you that.
You were a few
I
times.
was getting, 2020. I'm like, hey man, that was getting retweeted by the president. Let's go. But anyways, it's
pretty awesome.
You guys are incredible.
Well, he's genuinely a funny guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I want to see more of it as much as possible.
I totally agree. Well, you guys are incredible, guys. I mean, my base loves you and is very appreciative of you guys' support monthly to keep this show alive. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight to talk about this incoming fourth arraignment on Thursday. Midas Gold Group, Drew, Matt, good to see you guys again. Where can people support you? I know the Midas Gold Group link is in the description below. Make sure to go support them. Make sure to support veteran-owned, America First businesses, and also make sure to support them to support this podcast. And they have their YouTube link. I know you guys are doing some YouTube content because that's necessary, and that link is in the description as well. Are there any other socials or anything else that you guys would love to show and share with the viewers before I let you guys go?
Well, we just started a podcast here where this is our new studio. Drew and I, we want to delve into more of the financial issues, stuff that more surrounds, the idea of purchasing gold and silver. A lot of the issues we're talking about here. We want to, keep people in the loop. So we're going to be doing the Boomerang Podcast. We have it on YouTube. We have it uploaded on Rumble. So yeah, if you guys want to follow us, get to know us a little bit better, we'd love to have you.
And thank you, Drew. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah,
it's
thank you,
awesome
Drew.
coming
Oh,
on.
thank you. Is there any other socials, Twitter, anything else?
No, we're in the infancy stage, so YouTube's right where we're at right now. We'll continue to push it out. Rumble's the next, the next step up. But honestly, we're like one or two deep. So this is awesome to be able to come on your
we're having
show
fun.
and,
We're having fun.
learn on the
You
fly.
guys are awesome. And you guys are local Arizona, so I'm pretty sure I'll go into the studios soon. We'll figure something out.
Anytime.
All
Love
right.
to have you.
Just not in the summer.
You guys are incredible. Salute. Midas Gold Group. Good to see you guys. We'll talk soon. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
Rock and roll. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. They're awesome. They're amazing. I told you guys, man, they're based. I love having them on the show.